everyone, I'm Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet this cute little coaster. It can be a lion or it can be a lamb, and that's because March comes in like a lion but goes out like a lamb. And if you don't know what that means, check your Farmer's Almanac. It's really quite interesting. Now, this little coaster, it measures about 5 by 5 inches, both of them. And with this one pattern, you can make the lion and the lamb. And this is so much fun. And that's why I'm doing this extra video on a Saturday, because Easter sort of crept up on me and I have so many things I want to share with you. Now you can find this free crochet pattern on my blog. And as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make a coaster yourself, it just takes a small amount of yarn, not even a ½ ounce of each color. Now I did this one in pink and I think it's super cute. For today's demonstration, I'm going to be using this white, which is I Love This Yarn from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to use this beige, which is also I Love This Yarn from Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to do the face portion and the ears in this beige just to make it a little easier for you to see. And then I'm going to use this little bit of pink to do the eyes like I did on this black one. And then I'll also explain to you the difference between the lion and the lamb, which stitching it up isn't different, it's just where you change your colors. We're going to be stitching today with our H hook, which is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. You need your scissors, and then you also need a needle for weaving in your ends and for embroidering on your face. So we're going to begin in the center and work our way out and finish up with our shell stitches. Then we'll add our ears and our cute little face. And it stitches up really quick. And another thing, these also make great appliques. All right, we're going to chain 5. There's my slip knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to join this into a circle, so I'll put my tail of yarn over my hook and pull it through. Close that circle and use my stay knot so it doesn't come undone. We're going to put our hook in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and I'm going to stitch 9 double crochets, so we have a total of 10. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through both loops, yarn over, and go through those next 2 loops. So now I have those 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now I'm going to count again just to make sure. My chain 3 counts as 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I'm going to join to the top of that chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Now I have a little hole in the center, so I'm going to turn this over, and I stitched over my tail of yarn, so I'm going to just gently pull on that, and then I'll go ahead and take my needle and close up that hole, and that'll be one end I won't have to weave in later. If you want to do this when you're done, you certainly can. Give it a little bit of a pull and weave it in, going back and forth, as we don't want our lion or our lamb to have a little hole in the center. All right, we'll cut that off. And so for row 1, we have 10 double crochets, joined to our chain 3, and chained 3. All right, let's do row 2. Our chain 3 counts as 1 double crochet, and we're going to double crochet in that same stitch. And now we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. So our first row, we had 10 double crochets. And since we're placing 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around, for row 2, we're going to have 20 double crochets. And we're placing 2 double crochets in each of those 10 double crochets around. And then we'll join back to our chain 3. I completed row 2, stitching 2 double crochets in each double crochet. So I have 20 double crochets, and I joined to my chain 3. If you're going to be making the lion, you'll go ahead and join and chain 3, because your third row is going to be in the same color as the first 2. If you're making the lamb, we're going to change colors on this row. And so what we'll do is cut our yarn. We'll join in our next color, which is our white, and chain 3. And whether you're making the lion or the lamb, this row is still stitched the same. You'll stitch a double crochet in the same stitch as your chain 3. And then again, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. Whoops, get in there. There we go. We're going to stitch 2 double crochets in each of those 20 double crochets around. And so since we're stitching 2 in each of those 20, we're going to have 40 double crochets. And that's the same whether you're making the lion or the lamb. 2 double crochets in each double crochet around. And we'll join back to our chain 3. I have completed row 3, stitching 2 double crochets in each double crochet around, and so I have 40 double crochets. And that's the same for row 3 on the lion and the lamb. Now, for the lamb, we're not going to be changing colors, but if you're doing the lion, what you'll do is you'll bring in your next color, and I'm just going to show you with this one. We've joined to our chain 3. You just bring in your next color. You'll cut your yarn, which is your color 1, and then chain 1. All right, but since we're not changing colors because we're making the lamb, I'm going to go ahead and chain 1. And now we're going to do those fun shell stitches. All right, so we're going to stitch a single crochet in the first stitch where we chained 1, because a chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to skip the next double crochet and stitch a shell stitch in the next. And our shell stitch is 3 double crochets in the same stitch. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. Just like we've been doing with our double crochets, only we're stitching 3 in the same double crochet stitch. We're going to skip the next stitch and single crochet in the next. And the way this row is done is the same for the lion as it is for the lamb. Skip the next stitch, shell stitch in the next. Skip the next, single crochet in the next. Skip the next, shell stitch, which again is 3 double crochets in the same stitch. Skip the next and single crochet, and we'll do this working all the way around. Skip the next, and again the lion and the lamb are stitched the same, and we'll repeat the shell stitch, skip the next, single crochet in the next, working all the way around and join back to our first single crochet. I have repeated single crochet, skip 1, shell stitch, skip 1, single crochet all the way around. You're going to have 10 shell stitches. Here's my last shell stitch, and I'm going to join to that single crochet with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and tie off. And so I'm going to go into the next stitch and pull that loop through to the back. And now I'll just take a few minutes and weave these ends in, and then I'll show you how to make the ears and the little face. Okay, now we're going to make the ears, and the ears for the lamb and the lion are the same. When you're placing them, it's where it looks different because we're making the lion ears out of the same color as the trim, and we're placing them up just a little bit higher. With the lamb, we're making them the same color as the face, and we're placing them just a little bit lower. And they're made the same, and make sure you make 2 ears, whether you're making a lamb or a lion. We're going to make a slip knot and chain 3. And now we're going to stitch 6 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. So we'll go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through both loops. So there's 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, get that tail out of the way there, 5, and 6. We'll join to our first single crochet with a slip stitch, and then we'll leave ourselves a long tail so we'll have something to sew that ear on to our lamb or lion. Now you'll notice that you may have a hole. Sometimes it makes a hole and sometimes it doesn't. So don't panic, just thread that tail of yarn where we began, and we'll stitch around those stitches like that, and just gather that hole closed. We want to weave this in anyway, right? So again, we're weaving it in as we're fixing a hole. And then we'll just go ahead and clip that off. All right, so now we'll take our long tail and sew our ear on. Now, sometimes what happens is you get a little bit of what I call silliness. It's just not exactly right where we joined our chains. And so I went ahead and sewed this ear on across, but I like to make sure that I place one ear right on that spot. And when I'm doing the lion, I'll place one on that spot, and then of course the other one will be up higher. And then we can center our face on where we put our ears. All right, so we're just going to set it right on that little silly spot, and we'll make some stitches. Make sure you go through. There we go. And I make 3 or 4 or 5, however many you feel like is going to hold in place and look neat. I want to make one more right there because I see some white showing through. There we go. Then we'll just come to the back and weave that in. All right, so now we have our ears on. And the last thing we need to do is the face. So again, it's kind of up to you whether you want your eyes spread out or up on top, and then the nose is stitched the same. All right, so I've got some pink on here. I'm going to put my nose and eyes on in pink since I'm doing a beige face. Right here in the center, we're going to come up and we're going to line up across from the ears here. And on this one, we're a little bit lower. We want it to be right straight across the center of row 1. All right, and we're going to just go across. We're making a second stitch, and then we'll come to the bottom across. That one's a little crooked there. And eyeball it, make sure it's where you want it to be. There we go. So there's my little mouth. Now I'm going to make my eyes. So I'm going to go up, make sure I go up in a stitch. And we'll just make 2 stitches. I'm going to come to the back and I'm going to come down here. I got a little knot there in my yarn, it looks like. A little fuzz ball, actually. And then I'll come to the other side, and that's just going to help your eye not slide anywhere. And when you're making your eye, make sure you're going through stitches and not the holes between, or your stitches for your eyes will slip through. And I have to tell you, this little lamb is crooked, and he looks like he's angry. And I love it. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and put these two together and tie a little knot. All right, so there's my silly little lamb. This ear can probably come up a little bit. But again, it's up to you how you want to do them and how you want to make them. They're super fun to make. And they're also super fun to decorate with. You can use them for appliques or whatever that you want. Decorate your Easter table or have a spring party. Just have a lot of fun and make some of these silly lions and lambs.